Hello everyone. Let's have more news about the Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Big Ben wants to know if Steelers fans will cheer or boo Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh return. No matter how you slice it, QB Kenny Pickett is one of the most consequential Steelers draft picks in decades. Anytime you draft a quarterback in the first round, it's a massive deal. When they drafted Ben Roethlisberger in 2004, it proved wildly successful. Pickett in the first round in 2022? Not so much. In fact, he is already on his third team going into 2025. Ostensibly, he will have a chance to compete to start after sitting on the bench in Philadelphia last year. And if he does, he could play against the Steelers not once but twice. The Browns acquired Kenny Pickett via trade this offseason and are reportedly really high on him. They may have been really high when they made that trade though, because they didn't even realize they had to decide whether or not to pick up his fifth-year option. Either way, Kenny Pickett will return to the Steelers' Acrisure Stadium this year, and that got Roethlisberger to wondering how will the fans react. If Kenny comes in, does he get booed or cheered? He asked on his Football and podcast. I think cheered. I don't think there is an all or nothing answer to this question. There are a lot of Steelers fans who are more than done with Kenny Pickett. On the other hand, there is a vocal contingent, likely consisting largely of Pitt fans, who believe the Steelers mismanaged Pickett's career and moved on from him prematurely. There's more to it than that, but I digress. My point is, I don't think Steelers fans would have anything resembling a universal response to seeing Kenny Pickett line up as a Browns quarterback. A lot of fans would boo, I'm sure, and a lot might also cheer. Well, perhaps not necessarily cheer, but acknowledge him in some way favorably. Fans take rivalries seriously though, and often don't take kindly to players who switch allegiances. The Steelers have a couple of former Ravens at linebacker, for example, most notably Patrick Queen. Suffice it to say, the Steelers didn't envision Kenny Pickett in a Browns jersey by 2025. But if Pickett does start, he will have had to prove himself. He is in the middle of a four-way quarterback competition, which includes 2023 Browns folk hero Joe Flacco. They also drafted two quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And don't look now, but Deshaun Watson may be creeping up from the rear. If you were in the stadium when the Steelers host the Browns this year and Kenny Pickett entered the game, how would you react? Would you boo or would you cheer if you have any reaction at all? Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
And rumors to cover on today's program. First up on the show, an Aaron Rodgers timeline update was given to us by Steelers owner Art Rooney II. Today, I'll give you the latest surrounding the four-time NFL MVP and when and if he is going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then we'll get into a new Steelers trade rumor that has been put out there on Steelers Twitter for Terry McLaurin, the Washington Commanders wide receiver. I'll let you guys know if that trade is a possibility. Then we'll get into the Steelers' best-kept secret, according to Bleacher Report. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of today's show to see who that secret player is. But before we get into the content today, I welcome you guys to click that subscribe button and help us get to 85,000 subscribers on this channel. We provide you guys free, informative, and in-depth Steelers coverage every single day on this channel. We have breaking news coverage every time the Steelers make a big move, and with a wide receiver move and then probably a quarterback move coming up on the near horizon, I'd highly recommend you guys click that subscribe button for our live breaking news coverage. And speaking of live shows, we go live every Monday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We do our Madden simulations for our simulated season that we're doing on this channel, and all that content is 100% free. All you guys got to do is click that subscribe button right now. And with that, let's get into the news and rumors, starting with Steelers owner Art Rooney II, who spoke actually yesterday at the NFL owners meetings to a number of different people, and he said that he's willing to wait, quote, a little while longer for Aaron Rodgers, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Now, Rooney said something very similar to this back on April 1st, back during the NFL owners meetings back in Palm Beach earlier this offseason, when the exact quote that he had then was he would be willing to wait for, quote, not forever, but a little while longer. So it's literally the exact same quote, that he's willing to wait, quote, a little while longer for Aaron Rodgers, even though, we are in the middle of May at this point, a month and a half later after he originally said that back in Palm Beach. He also said this after the NFL draft. He says, we're still kind of getting the same signals we've been getting recently that he does want to come here, talking about Rodgers. I do think we may get word soon, obviously, with things starting to crank up here with the offseason program, etc. If he's coming, we would like to get him here soon for some of that. By the way, Steelers OTAs begin next week, Tuesday, May 27th. So the big question on everybody's mind right now is, when is Pittsburgh's deadline for Rodgers? When is that red line? According to Rodgers, no deadline has been set. And according to ESPN's Brooke Pryor, she has confirmed that the Steelers have not given Aaron Rodgers a date that he needs to make his decision by. And according to Pryor, she says that for the Steelers, it quote-unquote doesn't matter when Aaron Rodgers signs with the team this offseason. They just want him to eventually come to that conclusion. And then another report came out today from Ray Filipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette saying that Pittsburgh would be okay waiting until quote-unquote early July for Aaron Rodgers. And that is definitely interesting because I think that is probably around the point where they would be willing to wait for him. And I will say this, all right, if Rodgers isn't signed by the end of May, all right, by the end of this month, or actually by the end of June, or by the end of mandatory minicamp, I should say, you have to question whether he will at all. Because, you look at the situation and, after mandatory minicamp is over on June 12th, you have a large stretch of time there from June 13th to the start of training camp in Latrobe, which begins in late July, where the Steelers have no organized team activities. All right, Rodgers has a long strip of land there to be able to sign a contract, and there's nothing going on. So there's nothing that's really preventing him from signing on the dotted line right when OTAs are over, if his goal in this whole charade and this whole saga is to avoid OTAs altogether. So I think if Rodgers does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's probably going to be by mid-June. If we get past like June 15th, June 20th, and we're starting to get into July and he still hasn't signed with the team, that's when I'm going to start to get worried that Aaron Rodgers has not signed on the dotted line. But hopefully he signs with this team very soon. There's a lot of rumblings from guys like Adam Schefter, Mike Florio, and others that say that they think Rodgers is going to sign by the end of the month of May and maybe even sign before the team begins OTAs next Tuesday. I would actually keep my eye out for Pat McAfee's show tomorrow. That certainly seems like a good time for Rodgers to announce if he wants to show up for Steelers OTAs this year in full. But another nugget from Ray Filipaldo here says that the team will likely wait to make a move at the wide receiver position until they know how the Aaron Rodgers saga is going to play itself out here over the next several days, weeks, and hopefully not, but potentially months. Ray Filipaldo said this: I think they eventually will sign another wide receiver, but I think they want to wait to see what Aaron Rodgers does. Maybe Allen, talking about Keenan Allen, would be a good fit, or maybe Gabe Davis. But I don't think that move happens until the Steelers know what's going on with Rodgers. So, that's even more reasons to want Aaron Rodgers to hurry the F up and make a decision here, because if the Steelers are truly waiting to make that call at wide receiver to see what Rodgers is going to do, then obviously it would be in the Steelers' best interest to get Rodgers under contract as soon as possible. And by the way, that also gives Rodgers an incentive to sign as soon as possible, because they can get the best possible receiver they can the earlier that he signs with the football team. So hopefully he signs on the dotted line soon. So coming up here on Steelers Talk is Terry McLaurin, a potential trade candidate for the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. I'll give you my answer to that question here in just one moment. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks, which is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cold, hard cash this sports season. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Entering the final year of his contract, worth monitoring as Phase 3 of Washington's offseason program kicks off in under a week. So a lot of people took this report to say, oh no, things are going so wrong with Terry McLaurin and the Washington Commanders, they might trade him. No, I really don't think that's going to be the case, guys. The Commanders are trying to win Super Bowls right now. Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, is by far and away their best wide receiver, and there's just no chance in hell, in my opinion, that they're going to trade him. Maybe things kind of get hairy with, OTAs, and maybe he doesn't show up to mandatory minicamp and all this different stuff. I think both Terry wants to be a Commander, and I think the Commanders want Terry to be a Commander in 2025. So the fact that both sides want to get a deal done, I think a deal is going to get done between those two. If you're looking for more realistic wide receiver targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the two top free agents are Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen. Those two kind of do somewhat different things, but they're both really good route runners. I think that they could certainly fit into the Steelers' kind of quote-unquote win-now type of mentality that they have right now with Aaron Rodgers likely coming into the fold. But if you wanted to go get a former Green Bay Packer receiver, or actually current Packer receiver, Romeo Doubs or Dontavian Wicks, I think those are two young receivers that could potentially be dealt for the right price. And if you're looking for kind of a lower-priced wide receiver target via trade, John Mechie out of the Houston Texans, I think could be got for a late day 3 pick, either a round 6 or round 7 pick, and he's still very young at only 25 years of age. So if you're looking for a wide receiver target that's a little bit more realistic, I would say take a look at these 5. And now we'll transition here to Bleacher Report's Matt Holder, who believes that Zach Frazier, the Steelers starting center, is the team's best kept secret heading into the 2025 season. This is what Holder had to say about the second-year center from West Virginia. Frazier is coming off an impressive first season in the NFL that deserved more recognition than just an all-rookie team selection. He earned a 76.8 PFF grade during the regular season that ranks 6th among all centers, due in part to surrounding just 12 total pressures. So Frazier did an absolutely fantastic job last year, guys. And in my opinion, on film, when you compare him to the other centers in the league, he's already a top 10 starting center in the National Football League, in my opinion. And I think that, if he takes another step forward this year, we might be looking at a potential top 5 center in the game. So hopefully he continues his ascent here in year 2. And, the fact that you have that really solid, steady piece in the middle of your offensive line, I think that is really an underrated aspect of this Steelers offensive line that I think is going to really help them out as they approach really a crucial 2025 campaign for this unit, which is the offensive line. And then kind of controversial here, PFF and Trevor Sikkema, their main guy there at Pro Football Focus now, ranked DK Metcalf, the new Steelers' #1 receiver, just 24th on his list of the top 32 wide receivers in the NFL today. I really respect Trevor, and I think he knows ball, but I think I have to disagree with this one because I think DK is definitely a top 20 receiver in the game. But this is what Trevor had to say in terms of his reasoning. Metcalf didn't have his best season in 2024 and finished with a 75.0 receiving grade, but he's been remarkably consistent throughout his career, never posting a grade below 73. Since 2019, he's recorded 89 contested catches, and now he'll look to reset with a fresh start in Pittsburgh. Now, if there was guys that I thought were better than DK Metcalf on his list, I would be, more willing to accept the number 24 ranking. But he has guys like, guys that are washed, like Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins. Amari Cooper took a big step down last year. Marvin Harrison Jr., come on now. He had 1 season in the league. He's already better than DK Metcalf. And Jalen Waddle, who's a number 2 receiver. Keenan Allen, another guy that took a step back last year. This list is from maybe 2019, 2020. This is not a 2025 list, in my opinion. And DK Metcalf, you can make an argument, is better than all 10 of the players and the receivers that we just showed on screen. In my opinion, he's a bona fide top 15 receiver in the game because he is such a physical specimen. At his size, his ability to come down with contested catches, and then his yards after the catch and run after the catch ability at his size, he is an absolute locomotive that you cannot bring down if he gets ahead of steam, all right? So he is somebody that, maybe he has a little bit of a limited route tree, but the stuff that he runs, he is elite at, and he is a perfect fit for what the Steelers are looking for in their true X receiver. And I think this year he's going to prove to Trevor and prove to everyone that kind of doubts him that he is going to be a bona fide top 15, if not top 10 receiver in the National Football League moving forward. But fill in the blank for me down there in the comments section. DK Metcalf is a top blank receiver in the NFL right now. Is he top 20, top 15, top 10? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And before I go here, I do want to give some shout outs here to the people that have followed me on X this week. I want to give some love to the people that, support me on my social media. And by the way, it's absolutely free to follow me on X. If you guys want a future shout out on the show, feel free to go follow me on X at Jack_Sperry. But today's shout outs go to Daniel, Caden, Noah, Chris, Bluffer, Matt, Bob, Don, Yinzup, Mark Fuqua, the Cathster, hope I'm saying that right, Lori, Mr. Tall, Dorian, Killicam, Matthew, Stan, Joe, Jackson, Kanka, Freddie, Sean, Junis, X-Zombie, Brian, Ryan, J-Ham, the last white Christian conservative, Deshaun, Jason, Gordon, Robbie, Nick, Tim, Josh, Cameron, Whitey, Braden, Keith. And again, guys, if you want a future shout out on the show, feel free to go give me a follow at Jack_Sperry. Well, just wanted to show some love to the people that show some support to me. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys for stopping by for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors. We got more Steelers content coming your way.
For those of you who aren't a big Joe Rogan guy, you might have missed this one. I'm not going to lie to you. I am a Joe Rogan guy. I'm not there are levels to being a Joe Rogan guy. I feel I'm the level of, oh, this guy's talking about living in the Amazon jungle for 7 years. That sounds like a good idea. I'm 100% locked into this interview. And I feel that I would have saw the Aaron Rodgers thing coming, didn't, but the man's an enigma. And because of that, we never know what's coming. Aaron Rodgers, however, went on the interview, was asked about a bunch of stuff, and kind of opened the curtain a little bit to why he is taking so long with the Pittsburgh Steelers and what is causing this decision. And to be very honest with you, I've known some of it. I haven't felt comfortable enough or in the right place to say any of it. And I'm a little thankful that Aaron just kind of let a little bit of it out, because it's important to know, I think, for everybody else who's waiting and feeling this is overly dramatic for no reason whatsoever. He said this on the podcast. He said, quote, "I am trying to be open to everything and not specifically attached to a decision." Classic Aaron Rodgers quote right there. "I'm not holding anyone hostage. I've been upfront from the beginning. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone on a team. I'm just going through a lot in my personal life that has to take priority. I don't think it was fair to the Steelers or anyone while I deal with a lot of things off the field. The people that I know are the people that know. The people that don't make up shit about me." He later said, just dropped it suddenly or when discussing this, quote, "I figured it out during the last year when I've been in the weeds with these people who are close to me that have cancer." Obviously, we don't know names. A development that shows just how serious this situation is. A lot to talk about, I think. I don't think it's as easy as, oh, somebody close to him has cancer and that's the end of the story and we wait forever. This is the NFL. It's a business, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have to take it all seriously. But you hear those things after months of waiting. We're 60 days since he showed up here in Pittsburgh, 61 days to be exact, since he showed up here in Pittsburgh. You hear these things. You get a little bit behind the curtain. And does it change your outlook on the situation, on Rodgers, and maybe how you feel about the wait?
Here's the first takeaway. It allows me, as I'm sort of absorbing this quote, because I'm not a Joe Rogan guy, so I didn't catch this episode. But it does immediately sort of evoke some sympathy from me, just because I know we've touched on it. We've talked about sort of, the personal things. We talked about like Stephon Tuitt and Derek Harmon a little bit yesterday, like these personal things, these tragedies that affect families and these NFL players. The effects of it can be, great unknown, and we really have no way to sort of predict them or project how it affects, our football team that we love talking about. So, yeah. That all being said, it immediately garners some sympathy for me. It's like, okay, there are things that are bigger than football, obviously, but now we have a little bit of insight into the person that's going through that, not just the expected quarterback of the Steelers that we keep talking about. So, immediately just want to say, send good thoughts to whoever Aaron Rodgers is talking about in this situation, and anyone else who's dealing with that within their family, friends group, send you love and support and strength and all those good things. But yeah, beyond that, I still feel like I'm exactly in the same place in terms of all of this. I have no further insight on whether Aaron Rodgers has made a decision, whether the Steelers have one and they're trying not to tip their hand. I feel exactly still in limbo on this.
I agree. I don't think it changes much. I think it starts with the understanding that Aaron is actually going through something serious, and someone close to him is going through something serious. And make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. I talked about it yesterday. I'll talk about it again. If it wasn't for me, today was a prime example. Didn't eat Factor today. And you want to know what happened? I went out and I bought breakfast. I went out and I bought lunch. And now Jillian will not be home tonight. And there is a 99.9% chance I'm buying dinner. Nobody's budget can afford these things. But thankfully, Factor's here for us. Get started at factormeals.com/allsteelerstalk 50 off and use our code allsteelerstalk 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code allsteelerstalk 50 off at factormeals.com/allsteelerstalk 50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. The situation with the Pittsburgh or with Aaron Rodgers, has always been the same. His circle is ridiculously small and he's never expanded it, which means that he takes little things a little bit more personal, or these things a little bit more personal. It impacts him a little bit more. Do I think that, it causes justification to drag this on the way that it has? I think to some degree, yes. I have a hard time sitting here and saying that I have an issue with anybody saying right now I'm focused on my ailing family member or friend or loved one, and instead I'm going to show up to the Steelers. I will say this. If he shows up by OTAs or by minicamp, there is no difference in my head. You know what I mean? That's where it becomes like a weird, you're walking a strange line in this situation. I don't want to sit here and say that anybody dealing with this is doing anything wrong. What I do want to acknowledge is that, again, if you show up, my expectation is Aaron Rodgers is going to be there eventually. If you show up in minicamp, it almost feels as if this whole dramatic, drawn-out thing could have been avoided and you wouldn't have had to answer any of these questions, and almost as if you've put yourself in the position to be the center and the headline and we have to ask you 90 questions about this, when you could just avoid all of it by have had the decision and then showing up for minicamp. My second biggest takeaway from this is that he says that he's been upfront from the beginning, and that he's going through a lot in his life that has to take priority, and that, quote, I don't think it was fair to the Steelers or anyone while I deal with a lot of things off the field. The people that know, the people that don't make shit up. You look at that, and my thought is, okay, if what's not fair to the Steelers? I think that's the question that's being asked right now. What is not fair to the Steelers? Are you not able to show up until July? Because if that's the case, them knowing their quarterback is a much better situation than going through the summer guessing about their quarterback. Even if they know Aaron's not showing up till July because personal things are going on and he can't be here in minicamp and OTAs. Awesome. That's a significantly less story than this one that we're talking about right now. What is it? There is a hostage component to this, and it feels as if something's unaligned. Either the Steelers have a handshake agreement in this whole scenario, and they are well aware and very comfortable lying to us and taking the heat in the process that Aaron Rodgers is showing up to the Pittsburgh Steelers, or they have no idea. And Aaron realistically is tying them to his finger and saying, you know what, we'll figure this out. You know, like good things will happen maybe, but right now I can't commit myself 100%. Dude, it's May. Nobody's committing themselves 100%. TJ Watt's not showing up for OTAs. The Cam Hayward shows up for like a day of OTAs. No veterans show up here. Ben Roethlisberger never showed up to OTAs. You don't need a 41-year-old quarterback at OTAs. It's a significantly less story. I just feel, and maybe I'm wrong, that not holding a team hostage has essentially held the Steelers hostage, where this is a significantly less urgent, chaotic, dramatic situation on the football front. If the argument or the sentiment being shared was Aaron won't be here till July, he's got stuff to deal with. Am I wrong there? Am I overlooking something?
Perhaps let's leave room for, the unknown. We don't know, we can't know what we don't know until we know it, as they say. But
yeah,
it seems from everything we're hearing, I really do think that, respectfully, like what Aaron Rodgers is saying and dealing with is important. And, the person comes before the player in my mind. I will always reinforce that and reinstate that belief. But that does not change the fact that he has given no real indication that he wants to be the Steelers starting quarterback or be on this team at all. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're overlooking anything in this moment right now, because there's nothing else to really go off of that. I just find it so strange. And I almost want to play devil's advocate in this moment and ask you, is there any way that there is some sort of negotiation tactic going on in any way? I'm not talking about using a personal sort of thing about it. I'm just saying it has been so drawn out. Is this something we are overlooking, that there is a piece of the negotiation that has not been resolved? Is there something that goes beyond just, there's a handshake agreement, but we're not going to announce it yet or give any more information until X date that we just aren't privy to at this moment?
I have a hard time believing that Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers are still negotiating anything. The Steelers have been very upfront about the situation as well. We're giving you a 1-year deal. I don't think yeah, that was crazy. It just came through my window too. For those of you who don't know, me and Jake live like 2-3 blocks away from each other, and there is a nasty thunderstorm going on outside right now. This is crazy, actually. I'm watching it through the window over here and through your computer screen as it shines into the side of you. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that the Steelers have adjusted their train of thought at all about this, that. And at this point, if they are, they're suckers, man. Like, if you are, just to be real blatant here, if the Steelers are still in any negotiations with Aaron Rodgers, get the hell out and give it up, because at that point you look way worse. This is damage control. The Steelers need to do some damage control in this situation.
Art Rooney provides update on potential Aaron Rodgers signing. Pittsburgh Steelers team president Art Rooney II said during the NFL draft that he expects Aaron Rodgers to join the Pittsburgh Steelers. "We're still kind of getting the same signals that we've been getting recently," Rooney said. "He does want to come here, so I do think we may get word soon." Rooney also said back at the beginning of April that the franchise would not wait forever for Rodgers to make his decision. And now Rooney seems to think this could be coming to an end soon. Per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, Rooney said that the team will continue to wait, but the wait won't be much longer. Rodgers went on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he revealed that multiple people close to him were battling cancer, which would explain the personal reasons he discussed on the Pat McAfee show earlier in the spring. For the time being, the Steelers continue to wait, as do the fans, for an announcement that Rodgers is Pittsburgh bound. And you, fan, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.